Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
I thought I understood the woman I was going to marry. We met in Savannah, Georgia, where I worked as a senior operations coordinator for a shipping company along the river. I was 34, settled, predictable. She was 29 when she joined the team. Isabella. Quiet, observant. The kind of person who smiled politely, but scanned a room like she was measuring exits. We didn't fall in love dramatically. There were no fireworks, just proximity, coffee refills, shared rides when it rained, long walks past the oak trees, dripping Spanish moss. She felt steady, safe. After a year, we moved into a modest townhouse near Forsyth Park. Our life was simple. Taco Tuesdays, Saturday farmers markets, folding laundry while watching crime documentaries. It was calm in a way that almost felt suspicious, but I loved it. The only silence in our relationship had a shape. Her family. No photos, no phone calls, no holiday plans. When I asked, she would answer quickly. They're not part of my life. End of conversation. I told myself not everyone comes from warmth. Some people survive and move forward. That was enough. Until I proposed. She said yes immediately. But when we started planning, she insisted on a courthouse ceremony in Chatham County. No extended guests, no reception, just signatures, and done. I didn't mind small weddings. What unsettled me was what she said next. My parents won't be there, and I don't want you meeting them. Not defensive, not angry, afraid. That was the first time I realized I wasn't just marrying a woman. I was marrying something she was running from. A week later, she left for a training conference in Raleigh, North Carolina, 2 nights away. I wasn't looking to betray her, but I found an envelope tucked into her work bag while grabbing a charger. An address in Augusta, Georgia. A different last name. Morales. Her mother. I stared at it for 10 minutes. My chest felt tight. I had 2 options. Marry her blind, or risk becoming the kind of man who crosses a line. The next morning, I drove. The closer I got to that address, the more the city changed. Fresh paint turned into peeling siding. Cafes became pawn shops. Lawns turned to dirt patches littered with bottles. The house looked tired, like it had given up. The porch sagged. A screen door hung crooked. I could smell alcohol before I knocked. The woman who opened the door looked older than her years. Mid-50s, maybe. Skin sallow, eyes glassy. "If you're here about money, we don't have any," she muttered, gripping a half-empty bottle. I introduced myself carefully. Mentioned Isabella. Blank stare. Then movement in the hallway. A teenage girl stepped forward, 15 at most. Thin shoulders, guarded expression. But her eyes, identical to Isabella's. "What do you want?" she asked me. Not rudely, strategically. Before I could answer, her mother snapped something about bills and ungrateful children. The girl fired back. And then I heard it. "She stopped coming because you destroyed everything," the girl shouted. "She sends money and you drink it." Destroyed what? The fight escalated. The girl stormed outside. Her mother didn't follow. I did. I found her sitting behind a convenience store, knees pulled to her chest. Not crying. Just empty. I bought water and crackers and sat a few feet away. No sudden movements. After a while she said, "You're the fiancée." Not a question. Her name was Lucia. When I asked why Isabella never came back, she answered like it was obvious. Because if she walks inside that house, she sees him. Her brother, Mateo. I had never heard that name before. Lucia explained it quietly. Their parents were drunk and fighting. Mateo tried to stop them. There was a knife. Isabella was 17 and out with friends. Mateo had called her earlier. She didn't answer. When she got home, there were police lights. Neighbors watching. Blood on the floor. "She thinks if she had been there, he'd still be alive," Lucia said. I felt something inside me crack. Isabella had been carrying this alone while building a life with me. Lucia told me Isabella used to come back at first. Used to try. But every visit ended with screaming and guilt and bottles. So she stopped coming. She sent money instead. Quietly. For school supplies, clothes, anything Lucia needed. But she can't step inside, Lucia whispered. She can't breathe. I drove back to Savannah with my hands locked on the wheel, barely feeling the road. When Isabella walked into our townhouse the next evening, smiling and exhausted from travel, I almost didn't say it. But I did. I went to Augusta. The color drained from her face instantly. Not anger, fear. You weren't supposed to see that, she whispered. You weren't supposed to carry it alone, I replied. She started shaking. I was protecting you. From what? The truth? Or herself? I told her I had crossed a boundary, that I was sorry. But I couldn't promise forever while standing outside a locked door in her life. She sat down slowly, like her knees gave out. And for the first time, she said his name out loud. Mateo. It came out like broken glass. She described coming home to sirens, to silence, to realizing she'd missed his call. I know it wasn't my fault, she said, staring at the floor. But it feels like it was. That was the moment I understood something. She wasn't hiding shame. She was drowning in guilt. I told her about Lucia, about the empty look in her eyes, about the house. Something changed in Isabella's expression. She's still there? She asked, voice cracking. Yes. Silence stretched between us. Then I said it. If we're getting married, she doesn't stay there. She blinked, like she didn't understand the sentence. We figure out guardianship. We get a lawyer. We do whatever it takes. But we don't leave her. Isabella started crying, but differently this time. Not the quiet, suffocating tears. These were release. The next month was paperwork and court dates. Richmond County Services were already involved. Her parents didn't contest custody. I don't know if they couldn't, or just didn't care. Lucia moved into our townhouse on a Thursday. She didn't trust it at first. Ate quickly, slept lightly, flinched at loud voices. We got married 2 weeks later at the courthouse. No decorations, no music. Just me, Isabella, and Lucia standing between us. Afterward, we went to a small diner off Abercorn Street. Lucia sat in the booth, devouring pancakes like she hadn't tasted safety before. That evening, we visited Mateo's grave. Isabella knelt there for a long time. I couldn't save you, she whispered, but I saved her. Life didn't transform overnight. Lucia had nightmares. Isabella had days where she went distant and quiet. Therapy came slowly. Healing came slower. But small things changed. Isabella started laughing again. She stopped freezing when someone raised their voice. Lucia joined the school art club, made friends, started acting like a teenager instead of a survivor. Last year, Lucia asked if she could call Isabella Mom. I stood at the sink pretending to wash dishes, while Isabella nodded through tears. We still argue about groceries and laundry. We still carry scars. But when I think back to that drive to Augusta, I don't think about betrayal anymore. I think about choice. Love isn't knowing everything from the beginning. It's deciding to stay when you finally do. Her parents weren't at our wedding, but at our kitchen table in Savannah, cluttered with homework, coffee mugs, and burnt toast. We built something better than a ceremony. We built a family that doesn't abandon each other in the dark.